Welcome, Filthy Kitchen. Filthy Kitchen cooking with the Squatchman. Yeah! Going to do some eggs. Yeah. I did not exercise today, but tomorrow I do not have to work. So last night of work, 4-day weekend, gonna enjoy it. Going to get some rest, gonna get some exercise, gonna hit the boxing, going to hit the bike, actually gonna start lifting weights. Can't wait. I am looking forward to some time away from work. Now, here's the issue. Tonight I have this lovely piece of meat. I broiled it yesterday in the oven, but it's a little bit small. I gotta get through a night at the plant. I'm not even hungry. Quite honestly, I don't really have an appetite, but if I don't eat now, I'm gonna regret it later because I do not eat on my shift. Here's a little trick. Your body does not know how to deal with food late at night. Most shift workers, most people who work first shift, which is the 11 to 7 shift, which is inhumane. Human beings are diurnal creatures. For those of you who do not know what diurnal means, diurnal is the complementary term. I won't say opposite because I guess you could say there's opposition there in the definition, but is it really an opposite? I don't think so. Maybe. But diurnal is the complementary term to nocturnal. Everybody knows nocturnal. Everybody knows, oh, name a nocturnal animal. Everybody, oh, an owl, oh, a mouse. Oh, well, actually that makes sense. The reason owls are nocturnal is because mice are nocturnal. Mice are like, let's hide during the day because we don't want those predators to get us. And the owl's like, cool. Those predators won't get you, but these predators will. And that's what happens. So, humans are diurnal. Our hormones, everything is set for the day. Eating at night is terrible. It's one of the worst things you can do. And most shift workers who work the night shift, they look unhealthy. They don't look good. They are screwing up their anatomy. Their endocrine system is out of kilter. And it's for reasons like this that people who work night shifts live an average of 10 years shorter lives than people who work when they're supposed to. Now, there's a lot of other factors. I mean, if you're tired during the day, you're more apt to make mistakes and things like that. But still, you're screwing up your anatomy. It's 10 o'clock at night now. I'm having a big meal. This is ridiculous. This is killing my anatomy. This is ruining my life. But it's better than eating food at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I don't do that. I don't eat on night shift if I can avoid it. I mean, sometimes I get overwhelmed with hunger and I'm starving and I'll eat junk. And that's another thing. Night shift workers tend to make terrible dietary decisions because they're tired and they're overly tired, overly hungry. When you're in the military, one thing they used to tell us, I don't know if they say that now, is if you can't sleep, then eat. Because, I mean, if you're a soldier, you need your energy, and if you're overly tired and you can't get your energy that way, then at least eating food, you'll have energy that way. But anyway, I don't know. Personally, I would rather eat before the shift. Being hungry is not a terrible thing. Our culture, one of the problems with obesity is our culture has demonized feelings of hunger. And not to be misogynistic or anything, but the truth is, this is from mothers. Mothers overly protective of their children. It's like, oh my God, my child hasn't eaten in 4 hours. Here, have a donut. We can't have the child experience any sort of hunger or discomfort. There's nothing wrong with being hungry. For hundreds of thousands of years, being hungry was the norm. You're supposed to be hungry sometimes. It's not, especially in modern times. And if your body is not getting proper nutrients, it's going to be hungry. That's why all this high calorie, empty calorie, useless garbage food, people become obese because their body is still screaming for proper nutrients. It's like a seagull. These seagulls die and their body rots away and they're full of bottle caps and pieces of plastic, and they're full of all this crap. And the reason is because they're eating this stuff because they're hungry, but there's no nutrients in there, so they keep eating and eating and eating, and they're all bloated. They look full, but they're full of junk. I had these birds when I was in Korea, and I went to the pet store, and the person who owned the pet store said, look, whatever you do, don't give these birds rice. They can't eat rice. So I'm like, sure, why would I give them rice? They need birdseed. But they would stress over and over again, don't give these birds rice. And the reason they would do that is because the Koreans would buy these birds and continually feed them rice because it was cheap and they had it on hand, and the birds would starve to death. So anyway, I couldn't handle these birds after a while. I was moving, so I gave these birds to a friend who owned a restaurant. And I said, listen, whatever you do, don't give these birds rice. So I showed up and the birds looked very distressed and they were very fat. And I said, oh, well, what's going on with the birds? They're all distressed. And I looked in the dish and it was full of rice. And I said, look, I told you, don't give them rice. And the woman I gave them to was like, oh, don't be so silly. They love it. Look. And she put the rice in the bird cage. And these birds were all fat. And they would feverishly eat the rice like they were starving people getting food for the first time. And that's what they would do. They would eat so much rice, they were starving to death, and they were full of rice. They couldn't digest it. So they died, and they had all this indigestible rice in their bodies. But she thought, oh, look how readily they eat the rice. Look at the vim and vigor they attack this rice with. They love it so much. No, they don't love it. They're starving to death. And I knew when I went to, oops, oh well, cheese all over the floor. I knew when I went to the pet store, by the way the pet store owner stressed, don't feed them rice, I instantly knew that all the Koreans would buy these birds and feed them rice. And that's what they were doing. And these birds were just dying all the time. And there was no sense talking to these people because they wouldn't listen. And as a result, many birds died needlessly. It was sad. It was very, very sad. It's almost as sad as all this cheese I just spilled all over the floor. You know, they say, don't cry over spilled milk. Well, I guess this is spilled milk. I'm not going to cry, although I don't like wasting cheese. I just, about 2 servings of rice went all over the floor because this container, not rice. 2 servings of cheese went all over the floor because the top was not on that container. Anyway, my point is, I don't eat food at night. It's not good for humans. Just like eating the wrong food is not good for birds. Now, I'm going to leave that on the floor because right now that cheese is very moist and it's kind of going to be hard to clean up. And also, I don't really have time to do it right now, but I am off tomorrow. But tomorrow, that cheese should be a little more dried out and it should be a little easier to sweep up. And because I live alone and nobody's going to see it, I'm going to leave it on the floor. Now, if I lived with other people, I would clean it up right away. But since I don't, and I don't really have time to deal with it right now, and it should be easier to sweep up tomorrow, I'm going to leave it on the floor. I don't recommend you people do that, but if you live alone, that's something you can do. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. So, I forget what else I was talking about, but anyway, that's pretty much it. So yeah, looking forward to the 4 days off. Looking forward to eating these eggs. One last day of work. Ooh, it's gonna be nice. So, I don't want to step on this cheese on the floor. Let's end the video here. Who loves your baby? This guy. I still have like 7 unwatched videos on this channel, so if you're looking for more content, please go look at one of those. And I've got all those wonderful fables from long ago that I think they're excellent. You should consider watching some of those. So who loves your baby? This guy, don't forget it. And remember, you're somebody's favorite person in this world. Probably mine. Love you. We're going through tough times. We're going to try to remain positive. We're going to try to think positive. We have the power of thought. We are going to try to be patient and wait as patiently as possible. And we are going to try to endure this indignity with as much dignity as possible. Sometimes in life, things that are not fair happen to you. It's natural to be bitter. People will go, oh, you're just being bitter. Yeah, bitter means you are being treated unjustly, and that's your natural response, is to act with bitterness because the world is not being fair to you. Some people are not being treated fairly, and people will almost mock you by saying, oh, you're just bitter, as if that's some sort of character flaw. Yes, of course you're bitter. You're not being treated properly. So, people who are victimizing you, they try to doubly victimize you by calling you bitter. They expect you to just endure this terrible treatment that you don't deserve without any sort of negative emotion. And that's not the way people are. That's not how we evolved emotions. We have justifiable bitterness. And if someone says, oh, you're just bitter. Yeah, I'm bitter because of the way I've been treated. Anyway, something to think about. So till next time, remember that we can overcome. And hopefully these tough times won't last too long. Anyway, love you. And goodbye.